All right, chicos. So at this point, based on what we did yesterday, you guys have a book report folder. You've got a book inside. You chose a red or a yellow one. Yes? And you've got the worksheet. Okay. People that were not in school yesterday have access to ebooks that are all yellow, and you also have access to the worksheets. Okay. Because this is the first book report we're doing, we are all choosing the same worksheet this time. I gave you the one that says summarizing on the top and task completion. Basically, this book report sheet just helps you make sure you're doing it right. Okay, so we'll make sure we're doing it right before we make other choices. So on book report number 2, you'll have choices. You could choose to do this exact same worksheet, or you could choose to focus on other parts of your writing skills. For example, there's a worksheet for focusing on sentence structure and whether you're using simple, sparkly, compound sentences. There's one that focuses on transition words and connecting your ideas. There's one that focuses on intros and conclusions. And there's one that focuses on grammar. That's the one where I get to just correct all your mistakes. Okay, but I only grade what you asked me to. I only grade whatever the topic of the worksheet is. So if you didn't say you wanted to practice your grammar, I'm not correcting it all. I'll give you feedback on whatever other thing you picked. That makes sense? Okay, but because it's our first one, we're all starting together with the summarizing one. All right, so we've got a book, red or yellow. We've got the worksheet. Okay, let's start looking at the worksheet together. Okay, up at the top, this is basic information, right? Your name, what's the date? Go ahead and fill it in. Let's do it together. Okay, you got the name, you got the date, you got your book title. Yeah, just copy that book title down. Now it does say book title in English. Okay, it's important to me that you know what your book title is before you start reading the book. So if you're here with me, you can ask me, Profe, what does this mean? If you don't know what it means. Okay? If you're at home, you can look this up. It's the only thing you're allowed to look up on the whole assignment, but you can. Because I think it's important that we know what our title is. It gives us so many clues about what the book is about. Okay? Anybody in here not sure what their title is?
Yeah.
Okay, what you got?
El
Dedal de Dida. That means Dida's thimble. Do you know what a thimble is?
Sewing. Right.
Yep, for sewing. It's like a little thing to protect your finger. Anybody else still not sure?
Que rica mosca.
Que rica mosca. Yummy fly. Yummy fly. Gage?
El kangaroo tiene mama.
What do you think that means?
The kangaroo something mama or mom.
Yeah. Does the kangaroo have a mom? Bizcocho. Biscuit. It is his name. In English, those books are called biscuit books. Okay. Any other confusion? Okay. So you're going to find as you go through this worksheet that it's specifically designed to practice different reading skills. Like all the strategies I just spent the last 3 days teaching you. For example, it says picture walk. This goes with your picture clue strategy, right? The first thing you're going to do with your book is not try to read it. The first thing you're going to do with your book is look at all the pictures. Seriously, we call it a picture walk. You're going to open up your book and you're going to start turning pages and you're going to look at the pictures. And then you are going to make 3 predictions about your book on those lines in a complete sentence. Okay? A lot of you in the room right now have fiction books. That's a nonfiction over there. But most of you have fiction. So you're going to write down 3 things that you think are going to happen in your book based on your pictures. Nonfiction, you're going to write down 3 things you think that book is going to try to teach you. And you can do this in English. Okay? Take a minute and do that right now.
Eating pizza.
All right, so we started with our picture clues. right? We primed our brain for the language we think we're going to read by looking at the pictures first. Now we're going to do a cognate list. This is using our cognate strategy, all right? The directions tell you to skim the book looking for cognates. Copy down 5 of the cognates you find in the space below. So there may be more than 5, in which case you don't have to write them all down. You can just choose 5. There may be fewer than 5, in which case you write down any that you find, and then you write, Profe, I couldn't find any more. Okay? It depends on the books. There are books over here with 0 cognates in them. And there are other books in here, especially nonfiction, with like a gazillion. But you need to be able to tell me whether they're there or not. So you're going to look through your pages, and you're going to write down 5 cognates that you see. Take a minute and do that. Okay, so we've done our picture walk, primed our brains. We did a skim through the words looking for cognates, okay? Now we're going to start doing the bulk of our kind of reading and work to try to understand what's happening in the book. In the inside cover, if you have taken a book from the classroom library, there's a card inside the cover, and now is the time to grab that. If you are learning from home, when it's time to take a book and you are using an ebook, the ebooks at this time do not have cards. So if you're using an ebook, you're going to skip this portion for now. All right? I know. I'll probably be making them, but for right now, it is what it is. Okay? So these numbers where it says comprehension checks, okay? These numbers 1 through 10 correspond with the 1 through 10 that you see on the card that was on the inside of the book. Some of these cards are really old. Devin's got one that's really old. Okay, it's scribbled on and all kinds of things. Those old ones, you did the right thing by flipping that over. You should assume that there's always 10 questions. So if yours only goes to 8 or 9, you flip it over and make sure. Okay. There's different kinds of questions on these depending on your book. A lot of these cards start out with, hey, the word for this thing is in your book somewhere. So it'll say things like, what word in the book is used for this? Now, I get lazy, so a lot of the cards just have like, somebody give me an example. What does your number 1 say, Ava? Even their pets. That's what it says. All right. So, see, it's random. So what I'm trying to tell her with that question is somewhere in that book is the phrase, even their pets. And I'm asking her to find it. It's kind of like a scavenger hunt. Okay. So with those first ones, those vocabulary ones, I'm telling you, hey, this word is in the book. This phrase is in the book. And maybe you don't know it yet, but I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. I'm pretty sure you can figure out where this phrase or this word is in your book. Okay, so generally that's the first few. Later on, they might ask you specific questions about your book, in which case you're just asked to answer them, and you answer them in English, not in Spanish. Answer them in English to show me that you understand. Okay, so we're going to take some time now to get started on these comprehension checks. It really depends on your book. Sometimes these go really quickly and they're very obvious. Other times you have to put all of those reading strategies in place to try to figure out the answer to the question. Okay, so I think what I want to do now is I'm going to have you pause where you're at. Some of you got through those 10 questions and some of you only got through like a couple. And I said it's an individual experience depending on your book. I'm going to talk through the next 3 parts. And I'm just going to talk right through them. Okay? And then I'm going to be quiet for the rest of the hour for you to work at your pace. So if you turn the page, now I'm on the back of the first page, there's 3 more parts of the book report before we get to the writing. I'm saving the writing for tomorrow, so we're not even worrying about that today. Okay. The first part is an inference. This is a skill we just practiced, making an inference, making an educated guess about a phrase we don't know yet. So it says, this is where if you haven't read all the way through, it'd be a good time to do it. Now that you're familiar with the book and you've read it through, choose one of the words or phrases that you still don't know. Because there will be there. And if there is no words in that book that you don't know, you probably picked a book that was too easy, but we'll deal with that next time. Okay? Find a word or a phrase that you still don't know and make a guess. And you're going to explain your reasoning just like you did on your test yesterday. Okay? So I ask you to pick a phrase that you don't know and explain your reasoning. The part after that is the big idea. I ask you for the topic of the book and the main idea of the book. The topic should only be 1 to 3 words. Okay, so think about what 1 or 2, maybe 3 words explain. Like my book is about bleh. Okay, a couple words. And then what is the main idea of the book? That's where you ask yourself, what one sentence can I write that sums up this whole book? And you write one sentence for me that sums up the whole book. Okay, and that'll get you close to the main idea. We practice that more later. So you'll do your inference, you'll do your topic and main idea, and then the last part is the model sentences. This part, the model sentence part, changes depending on which worksheet you choose. Since we're all working on writing a good summary, the model sentence part asks you to pick out 3 sentences from your book that, gosh darn it, if I don't have those 3 sentences, this book doesn't make sense. These are the 3 most important sentences in the book, and you're going to copy them down. If you're reading a fiction book, when I read over your 3 sentences, I should be able to get a feel for what your book was about, because they were the 3 most important sentences in your whole book. Okay? And you're literally just copying them down right out of your book. Model sentences, meaning finding something in the book that we can use later. Okay? All right, obviously I'm here. But that takes us all the way up to the writing, and we'll talk about the writing tomorrow. You've got 10 solid minutes here. Use them, please.